let's talk about ginger. It's a scent that is both cozy and common, yet exotic and complex. Its aroma is distinct, yet soothing, invigorating, and brought to us from truly, legitimately Asian practices, yet comfortably utilized in the modern creations of all kinds. To be honest, for a long time, I haven't considered ginger worthy of wearing as a personal fragrance. To me, it was a food smell, not high perfumery. And it was a long time till I came across creations such as Etat Libre like this, or Serge Lutens 5 o'clock or gingerbread, that my quest to find the perfect, multifaceted ginger scent truly began. Let's see where it got me. First things first, what is the ginger scent made of, and why is it so beloved? The answer lies in the rich and volatile chemistry. Unlike some of the simpler florals, ginger's molecular profile is truly a symphony. Its fresh and spicy aroma is defined by a molecule called gingerburon, and its signature worth coming from the compounds known as gingerols. It's fascinating how these change. When ginger is dried or heated, those gingerols transform into a more pungent, kind of stronger smelling class of molecules. Those are called shogaols. And it's the secret. These are the secret of its spicy, uniquely identifiable kick. The rich complexity has made ginger a prized commodity for centuries. Buying a pound of ginger in medieval Europe was a true investment, a considerable investment. But even going more back, Romans, for example, treasured ginger not just for its flavor, but for its use in perfumes and medicine. Today, perfumers are capturing that full spectrum like never before. And again, who do we have to thank for that? The modern organic chemistry and industrial processes that allow us to bypass the classic model of extraction of ginger essence, which is stem distillation, into a more refined technique that is more nature preserving. It's called CO2 extraction. It's when you put the material in the special conditions in the solvent, and it pretty much pulls out all the aromatical molecules out of the material without as much of a destructive nature and force when you essentially boil the ginger roots. That in itself unlocked a whole new chapter in dimension and capturing the true multifaceted aroma of the raw root. And this is what we're going to start with today. Just going to benchmark my nose to true natural ginger essences. One of them is a CO2 extract, which was all the rage a while ago. And the second one is a stem distillation of ginger from Madagascar. You can buy these little things. These are fragrance oils, or you can choose the degree of dilation that you need. Not recommended to use straight on the skin, but it's good for mixing, especially if you feel adventurous. So, CO2 extract of ginger versus the stem distillation. It is bizarre, as the CO2 to me is less pleasing than the stem distillation, which arguably destroys more of its natural aromatic profile. The stem distillation is predictably warmer, deeper, softer, because again, boiling something and generally any harsh conditions, chemical or physical, usually are the hardest on the most volatile and the most fragile parts, or the most reactive molecules. It is not uncommon that the distilled essences, or again, essences extracted through classical and fairly harsh, not very economic techniques, you have to waste a lot of material to get that many drops of essential oil, tend to lack that vibrant, fresh, ethereal opening, no matter what it is, a rose essential oil, a jasmine essential oil, or orange tree flower, or ginger. But at the same time, that's what we are used to in consumption of pleasant smells that we seek. It's more well-rounded, it's a little quieter, it's a little more hearty, more to the base. And CO2 is just so prickly. It almost gives me this reminder of how neroli smells. It has a lot of opening, this sharp, fresh notes, and a lot extra. There's a lot of extra here. I almost want to say something sweet in the heart that makes me think of ylang ylang, though I know for a fact this is a CO2 ginger extract. I mean, they do still both smell of ginger. Those sugar oils are definitely present in both cases. But I must say, in terms of the perfume, the pleasantness, wearing out of the box, the essential oil that comes from stem distillation is a little easier on the nose. And CO2, it's a full-on fragrance. There's a lot of blocks there that I would even think come from other ingredients, and yet it's all ginger. Now let's talk about cultural significance before I dive into talking about fragrance profiles, because it is important and it defines the context of how perfumers and brands and art directors go about constructing ginger fragrances. Perfume is first and foremost is an olfactory scene escape that has to be very carefully weaved into cultural perceptions. So perfumers always go for things that are 2-3 steps removed from simple headspace or extracts as we know them, and they always try to create more of a perceptive / emotional cultural combo in any perfume that is centers around a specific note, which is very popular in the last 15 years. I don't see why would it stop anytime soon. So the smell of ginger carries a fairly rich and diverse, which is good, diverse cultural significance. It depends on where you grew up. Largely, it's rooted in historical use in both medicine and culinary ingredient. And that brings us straight to Asia, when it is as much of a commodity as a necessary staple for culinary arts and for Ayurveda medicine. Across different cultures, especially in Asia, its aroma is often tied to the concepts of warmth, health, digestive health especially, and general vitality. Namely, in traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, the scent of ginger is deeply connected to its warming properties. And warming, I mean in a fairly literal sense. In traditional Chinese medicine, ginger is a yang herb used to dispel cold and dampness from the body, which we can roughly translate into all kinds of respiratory diseases, viral or bacterial, potential even parasites. So anything that would be treated as rot of the body. So its pungent and spicy aroma was believed and still believed to stimulate circulation and fire up, so to speak, sluggish digestive system. So there's a lot of traditional methods to treat problems with digestion through the ginger in your food. Similarly, in Ayurveda, ginger is revered as a so-called universal medicine. It's used to balance the body's energies. I think it's called doshas, and stoke the agni. Well, I think it's also refers to digestion. The smell of simmering ginger tea, for example, is a direct signal of its therapeutic purpose for providing comfort, combat cold, and aid in digestion. Beyond its medicinal applications, ginger's smell has also woven its way into various culinary and ceremonial traditions. Its role in the spice trade made it a symbol of exoticism and luxury, with a history that includes being a valuable currency in medieval Europe. Interestingly, ginger has developed its own cultural and emotional perceptive world in the Western world, quite different from its origins in Asia. The smell of ginger is often a nostalgic and comforting one. And why? Because it's intrinsically linked to the holiday season. Thanks to the gingerbread and the ginger snaps and now ginger lattes and whatnot, the aroma of freshly baked gingerbread house or cookie evokes a sense of home, family, and celebration, a tradition that reportedly dates back to Queen Elizabeth I, who is credited with popularizing the gingerbread man. So what we think of winter essentially is a concoction of exotic to Western world spices. They were expensive, they were difficult to acquire, and they were luxurious treats to otherwise very bleak and rough climates of European continent and further out in American continent as well. So this association makes the smell of ginger a powerful and emotional trigger for many, including a shared cultural history of warmth and festive cheer. In essence, the smell of ginger is not just a pleasant aroma, it's a sensory link to celebration and healing. That lovely history lesson and cultural decoding, let's get into discussing the quest. I went on a ginger finding quest and brought you some quite a diverse festival of ginger-centric or ginger featuring fragrances. It all started, it started with me noticing ginger as a supportive component, but I want to start with things got really focused on ginger. It's when I laid my eyes on the new release by Prada, Infusion de Gingembre, which is a line of one of the best, I dare say, colognes that exist in designer market, and this is Infusion de Prada. I have one, two, I have a few, all right. It is not a problem yet, but when I started lusting after their new, at that point, new release, which was devoted to ginger, Infusion de Gingembre by Prada, very lovingly contains that, I would say, noticeable and characteristic DNA, the base that you can find in all their colognes. And here I have my backup of Infusion de Vetiver that I love. It's probably my top one to date of all of their colognes. So if you love those colognes, you will find the same base here, plus ginger. However, this is so much about ginger that at first I thought it was somewhat simplistic. I was almost unimpressed, and I continued sampling. Reliable, good, I would say ginger aromatic cologne. It's not too stringent, it's not too sharp, it's not too lemon candy. It's well balanced, and for whatever reason, I thought it was not enough. And then I stumbled upon a very cheap brand, a French mainstream drugstore brand, Saint-Bon, which is not the best name for a fragrance to put 100 Bon, because majority of the people on the internet don't speak French, and it took me, I probably misspoke the name of the brand and called it 100 Bond, 100% Bond, Bond, 100, 100, 10 O Bond. I call it everything but what they intended it to be, a phonetic play, Saint-Bon. But to know that 100 is Sen, you gotta speak French, guys. You should have thought about it a little bit more, but fine. Saint-Bon also has the Eau de Thé Gingembre cologne. And I thought, who needs to pay over $100 for a Prada cologne if you can have something for $10? I bought a travel, I wore it, really enjoyed the process, and I bought it again just so I could finalize my review, because at that point I needed everything everything on the dock so I could actually compare side by side. And you know what? At first I thought it was really indistinguishable from Prada, and no, it isn't. Prada has the elegance, simplicity yet elegance, what you would expect from Prada, that carries that ginger through. The Sanbon ginger has this odd chemical. They had a scent called Eau de Park, which is just stink, and it has the same base, this very cheaply chemical smelling, something like a old hairspray accord plus ginger. It lasts 10 minutes, maybe no more than that. And now that I compare them side by side, I can't say that the Sanbon is actually worth any money. If you want to enjoy a full, rich ginger scent, you better just get something that truly gives you that. And I found that the more I smelled ginger related perfumes, the more I cared about multidimensionality of it. It's almost the opposite of my quest to find the perfect neroli. If you haven't seen that quest, that episode, it's there for you to watch afterward. With the neroli, spoiler alert, trying this high-end, low-end, mass market, this and that, I came up with a comparison of neroli to a favorite t-shirt. It doesn't have to be expensive, but sometimes you just stumble upon a very expensive make of a t-shirt that just has just the right cotton, just the right thickness, just the right fit, and you're willing to pay for that. Otherwise, it is a t-shirt. It is an art of a t-shirt, but not, let's say, the craft of making a suit. With ginger, I think we're confidently going further away from just simplicity of a whiff. I was like, oh, I got that little fill, that little ginger, that puff, that whiff, that explosion, and it's enough. I can go further. It actually is not enough. A good ginger once you find it, is something that really lingers, something that has a lot of layers and can truly be brought to the level of high perfumery. So I decided to keep exploring. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, like every good story of not overspending a lot of money starts with that, right? The problem is, not only I'm a very curious person, I'm also a very snobbish person. So in buying my next ginger to find the perfect ginger, I weighted in the newness and respectability of the perfume house just as well. There are many other cheap gingers I could pursue, and I already had, well, Prada is not, I would call that super cheap, but it's accessible. It's a designer cologne. Sanbon, clearly very affordable. And I wanted to see what the perfumer, the niche perfumery world, what did it have to offer? Looking here, looking there were a few candidates. I read reviews. I thought about what I imagine a deeper, more interesting ginger-centric scent could be. And I landed on trying to buy Floraïku. I don't have a single perfume from this house. There are some perfumes by Floraïku that are revered, just revered. They have some hardcore fan base. They also have quite interesting packaging. I didn't want to pay full price for something I'm buying blindly, so I got myself a refill because I was mostly curious about the juice, about what's inside. I thought if I really, really love it, and I really, really have to, if I wear this down, I'll buy myself a full-size bottle with a whole shebang. The perfume that is ginger-centric from Floraïku, I think it's called, I Am Coming Home. I make myself a decant. This is my second decant, and I'm smelling the heart, so I remember. Now we're gonna refresh and get the opening. Floraïku, I Am Coming Home, supposedly builds this delightfully Asian. That's partially why I chose it. It's an Asian high perfumery house. They have very high reviews. They're very conceptual. They're very thoughtful about every aspect of concept for a fragrance, packaging, storytelling, and how it all weaves into the olfactory design. So it's Asian tea ceremony with ginger. You have a very light and beautiful ginger opening here because the bane of my existence was ginger scents, and I think these two fairly well reproduce that. I wouldn't say call it a problem, but a dilemma. The cheapest way to represent ginger in a scent is lemon ginger candy, something sweet and lemony, and ginger, those shoggols, I guess. And ginger candy, though, is a delightful scent profile, is not exactly ginger, you know what I mean? It doesn't have the spiciness, the depths, the cooling effects. And the cooling effects in ginger, to me, are not really faithfully represented by the lemons. I think it's more this lime, bergamot, minty something that gives true ginger this elevated, soothing, and yet refreshing feel. It's not the acidic, lemony essence. It's the bergamoty, minty, limey, citrusy opening. And this is what you will find. This is what at least I found in I Am Coming Home. The opening is right. It is high fashion. It's minty bergamoty ginger opening, and it's not lemon candy. And then we transition to a fairly romantic but not sweet. It's not a gourmand, it's not too floral, just a semi-sweet tea fragrance with ginger. Delightful. However, I was surprised that I expected anything that's centered around ginger to have a lot of diffusion. Maybe not longevity, but diffusion. You spray it, it fills the room. Maybe it lasts half an hour. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with reapplying or changing into a different scent profile if my mood changes or circumstances. But I want that opening. I want the effect. First and foremost, I want the effect. Longevity, we can talk about it. And it doesn't have much of a diffusion. I want my second decant from that refill, and either I very quickly become anosmic to it, so get into olfactory fatigue, which is not common for me with scents of this kind, or it just doesn't have much of a projection. Neither does it have much of a longevity. It's very quiet, very intimate ginger fragrance, which to me is almost logical non sequitur, but it is. So, cool opening. Finally, the right ginger, high frequency opening that I'm looking for. Truly culturally satisfying everything. Asian high perfumery house, tea, ginger. It really fits into the narrative of ceremonial Asian traditional culture. The next candidate to buy blindly in my quest for the perfect multidimensional ginger, I evaluated molecular perfumes, I evaluated more contemporary niche houses. I was determined to find a truly breathtaking, striking composition that would be unique. And the house that could do that, in my view, was Juliet Mad. Also, don't own a single fragrance by them, but heard great things. I know that their compositions are striking, unusual, creative, and have that wow factor. So I did open my wallet and got myself Juliet Mad Cedrat Gingembre. It's from their Less Essentials line. I thought, if I'm looking for something that is both contemporary yet punchy, Juliet Mad must be it. And I have probably worn it the most You look at the use, that's a lot for a fragrance I just got. And let me tell you why. So for a fragrance that literally has ginger in its name, I frankly expected more ginger straight off the bat. Again, a lot of volatile components. Ginger often is the opener. And here I get this ginger on the background like an echo, and a lot of sweet seafood. I kid you not. I was like, am I smelling like dried calamari? It's this weird combination of sweet and seafoody. Maybe some ginger. Just like walking by. I wore it and I wore it and I wore it, and I could not shake off the calamari scent off of me. So it reminded me of another sweet seafoody scent that I have from Acro that's called Rise. There, it's the delightfully confusing lunch at the beachside seafood restaurant where you get your pina colada and they bring you a seafood saute or something like that. Rise by Acro has the coconutty sweetness with that seafoody underlying scent, which is super confusing. They are not clones of each other, but I did confirm that they have that shared, truly, let's call it innovative, but for me it's fairly uncomfortable combination of notes. I can't deal with salt, dry wood with a little bit of a seaweed flavor when it's just something, just a drop, just a little bit to bring the composition out of predictable molecular perfumery style, like, dry woods plus a little bit of salt or mineral accord. But here it just takes the center stage, and it kept haunting me every time I wore it, that I said fine, and I bought calamari in olive oil. We're just gonna do a not very scientific experiment, and I'm gonna finally compare if it is what I think it is. Okay, you ready? You ready for it? The first time ever, I already can smell it, on my channel, Juliet Mad versus actual calamari. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's not as pungent, but I swear they do have something in common. You, sir, I'll talk to you later, and we're gonna continue. Cedrat Gingerbread, Juliet Mad, cool, but not for me. And sometimes it's super individual what notes your nose reacts to or picks up the most. I can't speak to whether it will be everybody's experience, but I like to eat shrimp and calamari. I don't think I want to wear it as a personal fragrance just yet. Maybe I'm just not evolved enough. So that, it was not cheap, all right? This exploration. So it sent me back to the square one, and I started thinking, all right, let's be methodical here. Where did the obsession come from, and what did I really want to find? How would I compose that multi-dimensional ginger fragrance? What would make something truly stand out versus a truly delightful designer option that I already have access to? So I decided to go back to the basics, to the fragrances that have ginger as part of the composition, a valuable, integral part of the composition, but not the only note. And I pulled out my Serge Lutens 5 o'clock gingerbread, and I wore it for a few days. So here we get that other half of what we think of gingerbread cookie. It's very sweet with kitchen spices. I can't pick anything clear like cinnamon or black pepper or cardamom. It's just everything, a little bit of everything. And it's very, very sweet, soft. Think sometimes sweet, milky Santal fragrances have the same roundness. It's what I call this typical Serge Lutens sweet, rounded accord. I feel they use it a lot in a lot of their fragrances. Their Santal Majestique, their Amber Sultan, a lot of their fragrances, their Jeu de Peau, have to my nose that very rounded sweet note that I'm not a big fan of, but it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my favorite sweetness. But it definitely delivered me on that other half, the heart and the lower part of ginger as we know it. Sweet, spicy cookiness, the warmth, the cozy, the Christmas. And I started thinking, all right, I have another candidate that speaks to the same dimension of ginger scents, and that is Like This by Etat Libre d'Orange, my longtime favorite and the fragrance that I have a backup for. And here we have a different sweetness, more like pumpkin spice latte sweetness plus ginger, which works just as delightfully. Actually, some people say they can't smell pumpkin in here. I can get it because it's a homage, it's a tribute to pumpkin rather than a flavoring that you can add and bake something with it to make something smell like pumpkin. But to me, I definitely recognize pumpkin, spice, ginger, this softness and roundness of vanilla. And ginger here is much less prominent, but you know what happens when you put the I'm Coming Home by Floraïku on top of Like This by Etat Libre d'Orange. When you combine a very delightful Western representation of ginger with Asian, it becomes perfect. It's the two yin and yang. It's the two most beautiful perceptive worlds that finally come and join together. The tea, the bergamot, the minty, light lemony ginger, plus the gingerbread, plus the pumpkin, just a little bit. It pushes the sweetness a little to the back because Floraïku I'm Coming Home is so heavy on the opening fresh notes. That is pure perfection. And yet I felt a bit defeated that I couldn't find it all in one place. I kept thinking and searching, and there are so many other options that are somewhat in the middle, not so high-end niche and not too cheap in their composition. There is Molinard ginger, there is Origins ginger essence that I used to own and fully used up, but all of those still ginger lemon candy in my view, and I wanted this. I wanted the multidimensionality, ginger in all of its glory and facets in one bottle, in one olfactory composition. So I found one that by a lot of descriptions online could be just it, the combination of all things together. And it was a big surprise to me that the fragrance that was the top one candidate for me to try at the tail end of my exploration was by a designer. It's not one of those coveted, hard to find niche or craft brands that you will go travel across the seas to get a sniff of. This is Twilly Hermès Eau Ginger. You can buy it in any department store. And it had so many hype reviews from so many people who fell in love with ginger through that perfume. I feel like I'm officially gonna decrown myself as a perfume snob, but Twilly Hermès Eau Ginger is delightful. It's delightful. Yeah, is it as complex and multidimensional as me layering like this on Floraïku, or actually let's do that with Serge Lutens, or 5 o'clock Eau Ginger plus the Asian ginger, I'm coming home. It's just as beautiful, just with a different accent at the landing. Yeah, it's maybe not as deep, it's not as crazy multidimensional and delicately weaved, but here we're talking about a couple of $100 plus a couple of $100, and you have to layer them. And Twilly or ginger, which is sweetness of this rosy fragrance, a little bit of pink pepper in the opening, and ginger, again, just playful, more elevated, maybe not as rich and deep, but still a well-mixed sweetness, roundness, and freshness of ginger in one. And it has this very charming, easy feel to it. I fell in love with it. I am gonna see how quickly I'm gonna use up the travel. And frankly, I hope my integrity in mindful hedonism will stop me, but I am seriously considering just buying a full-size bottle so I have it. It is delightful, it's flirty, it fits the concept of Western and Eastern ginger coming together. It's easy to wear, it's feminine, romantic, fun, but it's not too sweet. So if you are a guy, or if you are just genuinely reserved, buying fragrances that could have any detour towards sweet florals, this is not that bad. You can tie it with any, like a dull vetiver or a quiet tobacco scent, and this could blossom and still remain with a more proper core if you want a little bit more of a heavier base there. So it's a great layering companion if you want a little bit of more romantic part of ginger. I love it. I enjoy wearing it. And I admit it's not as sophisticated as the previous options, but I just can't deny that it is currently, most likely, the number 2. And that's where I decided to pause. I've spent a lot of money chasing fresh ingredients, natural ingredients, all these niche explorations, and combining expensive with even more expensive, just to realize that at the end of the day, after wearing all of these separately, outside, inside, and in combinations, that my final ranking is gonna look the following way. I can't believe this is where I end up, but here we are. The number 3, the 3 top ginger scents that I experienced so far in my exploration. Number 3, and the one that I think the most faithfully represents what I was looking for, is layering. It is very expensive option. It's not the most straightforward option, but Serge Lutens Eau Ginger plus any ginger candy or light ginger fragrance. In my case, I already spent the money on the very expensive Asian haute perfumery house, Floraïku. It's just beautiful. Similar combo works really well. Maybe Serge Lutens is my top favorite, and like this plus an Asian ginger or lighter lemony ginger is my secondary option. That I would give the top 3 place because it's incredible. It's beautiful. It hits every single point of diffusion, longevity, complexity, the change in time and space. It's amazing. I am swimming in that ginger world, from level to level and back. The number 2, the best ginger that I've tried, the most wearable and the most delightful, is gonna be Twilly Hermès Eau Ginger. I'm as surprised as everyone is. Affordable, especially if you find it secondhand or in gray markets. It's great. It's awesome. And I want to try their poivre, the peppery option. And the number 1, I guess there's some poetic justice in this. The number 1, the best one ginger fragrance. If I only could own one, Prada Infusion de Gingembre, where it all started and where we ended up. I will be buying, as soon as I finish the travel, I will be buying myself a full-size bottle. It's just, you can't mess with Prada colognes. They are the epitome of elegance. It's everything that Jo Malone fragrances promised to be and never were. It's a hot take, sorry not sorry. That's what Prada colognes are. Impeccable. Really good. And again, if I want a little bit more complexity to it, I can add any base, heavy, spicy, sweeter fragrance, and we're good to go. But it is overall, as alone, a single signature ginger-centric perfume that just fits me the most. Prada. It's not even Floraïku. Floraïku is a beautiful cultural adventure, but I can't say that it delivers to me in the same way as Prada Infusion de Ginger. Isn't it ironic? All that time, all that money spent to come back where we started. I guess that's a teachable moment, definitely for me. Not that it's going to change anything in my future explorations. Once you get obsessed, you just have to, right? You have to follow the quest. It's our essential right, the quest for, you name it. Well, with that, I'll leave you in this episode of Perfume Nation. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are watching on any other platform than YouTube, note that YouTube has probably 5x more content. So check it out there. On all the streaming platforms, you can find it as Perfume Nation. On the YouTube, it's Maria Meliora. And now you tell me, what are you on the quest to find? What is it? Have you ever enjoyed ginger fragrance? Or do you, like me for many years, consider this mostly a food smell rather than something that belongs on the shelves of high perfumery? I'll be waiting for your comments, not so patiently. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because what? Because that means we'll see each other in the next video.